So, um, so if you want to follow this along, I would suggest you to have a PC instead of a Mac. Because sometimes just Mac, when Mac's running Unreal, it just have some problem. But it's also fine. You can just watch me doing all the coding stuff, and then because I will record it, and you can also watch it afterwards. And if you have your PC at home, you can just follow that recording. So, how many of you were in the session last time? Okay, two or three of you. Okay. Um, so, if you want to follow me in this session, we have the project file from last week. It's in the Slack channel. I think it's in the session announcement channel. And if you scroll all the way back to June 15th, at the bottom, you can find these links. There's our class schedule, the recording of our first session, and also the project file from our last session. This project file is what we're gonna keep doing for today. And if you open the class schedule and you can take a look, today we're just gonna do a review first at what we did last time. We're gonna talk about how to make functions, and then we'll dive into how to create our own material. We're gonna talk about how to make a timeline, and then we're gonna talk about how to place camera in our scene and how to switch between different camera, change the camera angle. And we're also gonna talk about how to animate these cameras to make them rotate, to make the camera follow along a track. And then if we still have time, we're gonna talk about some audio capture, which is directly relevant to doing VJ using Unreal. Basically, it allows you to listen to whatever audio that's coming from your laptop or your microphone, and have that as an input and map it to different things in Unreal. That's what we're gonna do for today. So, oh, I forgot to do screen sharing, I think. Screen, okay. How do I? So let me open the project file from our last class, which is called VJ class. You can also download this from the link I gave you. So I'm gonna open it now, and we're gonna start our session. Okay. For the project, it's in the Slack channel. There's a link here. It's from last week, June 15th, in the session announcement. Okay. Do you want to email just you, or huh? Is there a way to email everyone? Let me just copy and paste. Okay. Let me email you real quick. Oh my god. Never mind. What's your email? CA THY. Sorry to display your email like in public. Oh, my L key is broken actually. Let me. This is stupid. So let me copy and paste the L from somewhere. Okay, this you. think that worked. Yeah, okay, do you get it? Okay, it's fine. Then um you can just follow along maybe, and you can watch the recording afterwards also. So yeah, it's not a big deal. Okay. So when I open the last project file, this is what I see, all the mountains and stuff. You might wonder where's the project that we built, because remember we have a new level that we built last time. It's in our level folder. It's called performance space. So you do have to open that folder and double click that level in order to load what we built last time. So you may not want to do this every time you open your project. So there's a easier way to do this. If you open your in the edit tab, project setting, and on the left hand side, there's all these settings you can set. If you go to maps and mode, if you couldn't find it, you can also search here maps. And here in the default maps, it's just the default maps when Unreal Engine start, it's set to open world. And you may want to change it to the level that we built last time. It's called performance space, so you just change it to performance space. And also you can set again default map to also our performance space. And then that's it. You don't have to save it. Well, auto save it. And for example, you close your Unreal, and then you reopen your projects. And this time when you open it will just start with the map that you have. Yeah. What's a question? Okay, go to edit, project setting. Here, under these projects, you can find maps and mode here. You click it, and here under the default map, there are two things you can set. You can drag this and set it to the level that you had last time. It used to be open world. That's why when you open it's an open world. So you want to set it to whatever level you are building, right? It's yeah. To yeah, it's whatever level you want to set it to, you can set it to. Yeah. So how you mean setting this map? No, when you open this whole thing, that's already the project that you download from the stack, from the Google Drive. Oh, how do can you take a look? Yeah. So let's review what we did last time. We have this donut here. Here you can see added the blueprints of this donut. We can click it and open it. And you can see all the nodes that we built last time. You can also open this from your content drawer. In the blueprints folder, you can double click it to open it. The same thing. It's been a week. So when I look at all these nodes, I'm kind of confused that what are each of these nodes. So here we have a comment here. So this section, it's responsible for spawning donuts. So when I press F, something happened. It's a good programming practice that we comment on everything and keep everything organized. So why don't we, when we are reviewing this at the same time, we make a comment for everything. Okay, so let's look at maybe this part. This part, when we press X, we find every donut we have and we destroy them. So if I highlight all of them, just drag them and click C on our laptop, we'll have a comments box and we can just type in whatever comments we have for this. So we can type destroy every donuts. So now I know what this means, and for these two, press C, and these are making donuts rotate continuously. I think. Yeah. So yeah, let me give you a try first. When I press O or K, let's see what a donut does. Just remind myself. Okay. Yeah, it will start to rotate. So rotation is what these nodes does. And for this big chunk of nodes, let's also give it a comment. When we press R, we set the rotation of the donuts, we play a sound of explosion, and we spawn some emitter at location, which is the visual effects of explosion. So let's see what it really does. When we press R, we can bombard the donuts and have a little sound cue. So let's double click this and comment it as rotates donuts. Play. Oh, my L key is finally play a sound and add. You don't have to be that specific. It's totally depends on you. VFX. So now we have properly comments all of these, and finally here this big chunk of ugly results. Here basically what we did is we are checking which key are we pressing. We're checking if we are pressing the 0 key, we make our donuts larger. We times its original scale by a multiplier, and we set it as the new scale. And when we are pressing the 9, we are making the donut smaller. So essentially, this big chunk of the nodes are controlling the size of the donuts. So let's say increase or decrease donut size. Okay, so we have properly commented everything. So now it looks much more cleaner than before. There's also a way to make it even more organized. That is to make a function out of some nodes. So for example, this part I'm checking if I'm pressing the 0 key, if I'm pressing that key, if that's true, we set a scale to make the node larger. How about let's highlight everything here and we make it a function. We can, after we highlight, we right click and we collapse everything into a function. And all of a sudden it becomes a single node called new function. And we can find this function on the left side here in our function tab here. We can click it and rename it. A shortcut for renaming is press F2 on your keyboard. Or you can also, I think you can also right click and rename. Yeah. Let's call it increase size. So if you double click this function, you can find it opens a new tab. And here you have all the previous nodes that we have before. Checking the key, if it's true, set the new scale to something. Okay. The good thing about collapsing all the nodes. Oh, opening the project. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, any more questions? Okay, so a good thing about function is that you can reuse that function somewhere else, so that you don't have to like copy and paste all of these nodes to somewhere else in order to use the right now you can just have a single function, single nodes called increase size. You can use basically anywhere. You can also reference that in a different blueprint. For example, you have a cake blueprint rather than a donut. You can also reference that in the cake blueprint. There's another thing we can do rather than creating a function. It's you highlight everything, you right click, and what we did is collapse to function. You can also collapse, just simply collapse nodes, and you will become a single node. It's not a function, but you can. It's just like squeezing everything into a single node. That's all it does. And you can also double click to open it. But it's not a function. It's just putting everything together into a single thing. I guess the only purpose of this is to keep things organized. You can go back to event graph by clicking here. Oh, by the way, if you accidentally close the event graph and you couldn't find it, you can go to the graph tab here and double click the event graph and it will just pops up again. So let me undo what I just did by clicking Control Z or Command Z on your Mac. Let's also make everything here into a function. Let's call it a decrease size because this is what it does. Decrease size. So now I don't need this much space for all of these nodes. I can just make it a small box. So now it becomes more concise here. Let's take a look if it's still working as it did last time. Pressing 9, it becomes smaller. Pressing 0, become larger. And let's check everything else. Press F. We can spawn more donuts. Pressing R to make them explode. Pressing K, make it rotate. Guess the only problem is we can only rotate one of them, but I guess it's fine for now. Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a thing called get all actor of class. So let me show you. If I have multiple donuts and when I click X, I destroy them all at once. I think it's the same thing as if you want to set the rotation of everything, you can also have get all actor of class in there. Okay. But I don't know if we can. But I don't know if we can reference this. When we press. Let me just try it again. Actor of class. Doesn't allow me to yeah, it's only one of them. So I might have to take a look at the reference because if you are referencing all actor, the output is an array of all the actor, but you cannot reference that whole array if you're using the set actor rotation node. So I might have to look up for something. But for now, this is probably the way. This is the only way I can think of. So now we have referenced everything. So let's talk about material first. So let's compile and save it. So let's look at our donuts right now. It's the material we have is just a default material here. The donut material. What about we want to have our customized material? Like for example, we want to have a glowing donuts that emits lights into our level. So we can make our customized material. Here, open your content browser. So content folder, we can create a new folder called material. And let's open this folder. It's empty because we're gonna create a new material here by right-clicking and choose the material here. And the naming convention of Unreal is by having a short, like a prefix, like material M just stands for material, like BP stands for blueprints. So we type M underscore and then whatever name you want to make. and emissive, because the material I want to create, I want to make it emit light. So that's called emissive. Double click it to open, and we have this here that we can plug different nodes in here to change the look of this material. So first of all, I want to give it a color. So I want to plug something into the base color tab here. Let me press 3 key and hold 3 key and then do a left click on your canvas here. So you have this 3 value constant here. It's just a shortcut by clicking and hold 3 and left click, but you can also search for it by right click empty space and typing constant 3 vector. It's the same, yeah. And then let's first connecting this white dots to the base color. After we connect it, we double click it to make it to have a color for it. You may notice it doesn't change anything when we are dragging this color picker, because here on the second column it's set to black. So you may want to drag it to somewhere other than black in order to have a new color of it. So right now, it's a bit slow. Yeah, maybe you have this red color and click OK. So now we have a base color. And the second tab is metallic. If you hover over it, you can see it controls how metal-like your surface looks like. It is exactly what it says. It can make your material become more like a metal or more like a non-metal. So, but this one we don't need a 3 vector nodes. We only need a 1 vector nodes. So we press 1 and hold it, and pressing our left mouse. Oh, sorry, doesn't work. Okay, it worked. Press and hold 1 and press left mouse, and you have this nodes. Connecting to metallic. We will have a range from 0 to 1. Right now, this is a look when we have 0 metallic. If I set it to 1, it will look more like a metal right now. So it depends on what you like. How about I set it to 0.5 to make it somewhere in the middle. Kind of looks like a metal, but not too much. And the third one is specular. Yes. It scales the current amount of specific specularity on non-metallic surface. So basically what it does is it can make something looks like a mirror, or make it something that doesn't reflect any light. So let's try it. Let's just copy and paste this nodes. Control C, Control V. Connecting them to the specular. It's also have a range from 0 to 1. If we change it to 1, that's what it does. It becomes very smooth. If you change it to 0.1, does it do anything? Yes. Oh, I guess it's required for it's to be non-metallic first, and then if I set it to 1. Okay, I don't know why it's not working. So right now it doesn't reflect any lights. If I set it to 10. Now it's become more reflected. You can see the difference of it. It's kind of subtle, but it does change something. Yes. Guess the maximum is just 1. Just check it back. But you can tweak all of these settings and until you have something you like. And then we can also change the roughness of our material. We can duplicate it, Control D, or you can Control C, Control E to copy and paste it. Drag and drop to the roughness setting. We can make it more rough or more smooth. Yes. 0.1. Okay, this is what we make it more like a mirror. If we have a very low value, it's very smooth, and it reflects a lot of light, make it kind of like a mirror. Like to make it not so smooth. 0.8. The probably most important thing I want to talk about here is the emissive color. It also require you to have a vector 3 node, which is just like the base color. So we can copy and paste our base color here, and then connect it to the emissive color. Now you can see our material suddenly becomes like emitting a little bit of light, but it's still kind of subtle. So one thing we can do is try to disconnect this node for now by holding Alt and click that white wire. That's how you disconnect. So you drag out this white wire and search for multiply. Just type the multiply sign and click enter. So I want to multiply this emissive color by values, for example, 6. And then I connected this to the emissive color. And now I think it become more emissive than before. If I multiply it by 10, it starts to emit more lights. Point 2. Check everything. If I do 0.2, it will just stop glowing. If I do like 20, if I do 20, it will just be more shiny. So let's keep the default value to 10. Click apply. That's basically all we want to do for a material, but you can do further adjustment here later if you want, and save it. It takes a little bit of time to save it. It's relatively slow. That's why we need to do let's make it. Why don't we just dock it to our so it's everything is together here. So it's kind of slow to every time you go into your material and change all of these settings. So there's a faster way to do this, and that is to create a material instance. You can right click your material that you just create, and here at the top, you can create a material instance here. And you can name it MI. MI stands for material instance. MI emissive. Yep. So it's just a duplicate of your mother material, but once you open it, it's different from like all the nodes and graph that we see in our mother material. The instance, you only have some some limited things you can change. But I don't have anything I can change for now. That's because in your mother material, you have to enable the parameter you want to change. For example, I want to change this base color. I can click it and right click it, convert to parameter. So, and I'll name it as base color. Base color and apply. And now when I go back to my material instance, I will have something, I'll have base color here I can change. If I check this, and now I can just go in there and change my material to whatever color I want. But the base color doesn't actually change the color of our material because our material is it's emissive. So we also need to enable convert the two parameter for this emissive color. Let's color. So now click apply. And we go back to our material instance, we can change this emissive color. And now we can have our material have a different color in our instance. And it's much more faster than changing everything here and apply and save. And also save a lot of processing power of our laptop. So it's always a good practice to create a material instance after you create your mother material. And you can also have multiple instances with different colors, so that's another benefit of it. But the key thing I want to change is actually this multiply nodes. For now, I'm multiplying by 10. If I So if I create a constant vector and then, so basically I'm create some a node that has 10 in its value, and rather than hard coding 10 here as the multiplier, I can just plug this. And now I want to change this value in my material instance. So I right click it, convert to parameter, and that's called emissive strength. So the default value is just 10. Let's click apply. Go back to our emissive. So now we have a new tab here called emissive strength. We check it and then we can just drag it to make it higher or lower to make it emit more light or less lights here. Yeah, it's just easier to change it in a material instance than just change the nodes here. So that's basically what we want to do now. Okay. 20 should be enough for now. So what we want to do with the new material for the donuts is that when we press a key, like what we did before, when we press a key on our keyboard, we change the material of our donuts to the new material that we just made. So let's go back to our BP cube, the event graph. You find an empty space here, right click it. What key do we want to use? Let's use M key. M maybe stands for material. It's just for easier to remember. Let's key for M. Okay, let's find the M key. So when we press the we want to set the donuts material to our new material. So we need to create, if I remember correctly, dynamic material instance for our static mesh components. Create dynamic material instance, that's what we want. And the target is just the static mesh component, which is, what is the static mesh? It is just the shape of our domains. Yeah, we want to create a new material for this. And here you can have a drop-down menu to say what is the material you want to create. Let's search for the material that we just created. It's emissive. Actually, M underscore emissive. Yeah, the first one. Okay, when we press M key, we set a new material. Let's see if that works first. Compile and save. Let's hit play. We press M. Okay, the donuts changes material to become a glowing donuts. That's so. How about rather than after I click M, it just becomes glowing. Let's make it like gradually turning on lights, make it gradually become more immersive. How can we do that? Before we do that, any question? Yeah. Any question? Oh, it's because I mean, the Unreal Engine sometimes just have this little detail that you have to, yeah. Yeah, I also run into that problem like when I first started learning, so don't worry. Where we are right now. So we want to make the material, we want to make the donuts to glow gradually. So right now it just glows. So let me think one way to do this. So remember we set the emissive strength of the material. What if we can change that? We can reference to this value and we change it from 1 to whatever value we want gradually in our blueprints. That's what we want to do. So how do we reference to this emissive strength value? And so after we create a material instance, we can do something called something called set scalar parameter value. Scalar parameter value is exactly what these are. These are called scalar parameter values. So here in our blueprints, we want to set one of these values. The target is just the material that we just create. So you can just connecting these two together. And the name should be, it has to be exactly the same. So don't do any typo here, emissive strength. So let's type in emissive strength here. And let's see if that works. If you click play and we hit M, it become really ugly. It's like nothing emissive. That's because the value is 0, so it is working. But the problem is we want to gradually change that value from 0 to maybe 100 to make it glowing. So the way to do that is to use a timeline. So at the empty space, you right click and you search for timeline. Nothing pops up here. But there's nothing. Okay, search for time. There's the add timeline at the bottom of your search library. Click it. Now we have a timeline. A timeline is just something. Let me double click it for a second. If you double click it, you open it. You here on the top left hand side, you can add a track. Let's add a flow track. A timeline, it's just you can change the value of something as the time goes by. So for example, let me right click on the timeline and add a key. For the first key, I wanted to when the time is 0, the value of something is 0. Okay. Let me add a second key by right click and add a key when the time is 5, because our length is 5, that's our maximum length. When the time is 5, the value is 1. It's just and let me click these two to zoom to fit them into a single graph. So it just create a line that gradually increase the value over time. We can select 2 of these by control and click them. We can hit 2 on our keyboard to make it to smooth it out, to make it more gentle rather than have a sharp turn of our value. You can also right click and click this user thing or also. Yeah, you can try different way to smooth it out. Well, that's what I need for now. A timeline of 5 seconds in 5 seconds, it's some value will be increasing from 0 to 1. Okay, close that. You can close this timeline, go back, and here in the new track, you drag it and you search for something called LERP. LERP is stand for linear interpolation. It's a mathematical term, but basically what it does is take an alpha. Actually, the alpha should be new track should be connecting to the alpha rather than the A. It should be connected to the alpha. It takes an alpha, and then when the alpha is 0, the value of A is 0. And when the alpha is 1, the value of B becomes 100. Basically, what it does is from 0 to 1, it changes the value from value A to value B. So what is the value A we want? 0. Yeah, at the beginning, we don't want the donut to glow, so it's value 0. And at the end of the timeline, we want to make it 20. So it will start to glow in its emissive strength, and we will connect this return value to the emissive strength. And remember, we have to connect this execution pin. So let's make more room here. Oops. The timeline will goes between goes before we set a value. So we act rather than connecting these two together, we disconnect them for now. So we connect timeline, we play from start, and then update we connect it to set the scalar parameter value. So we add a timeline in between to make the emissive color to change gradually. Let's see if that works. Donuts, that's PM. Okay, it gradually become emissive. Any question? Yeah. Good. Okay. So we can also make it unglow. So press N, we make it glow. And how about when we press different key? For example, when we press N key, we make it unglow. Here, there's an easy way to do this. That when you press N, you reverse from the end. You just reverse the process. I don't know if that will work, but let's give it a try. If you press N, it will glow. If you press N, it work. Oh, okay. If you press N, it will unglow. If you press N again, it glow. Press N. It takes 5 seconds, so you can adjust the timeline to make it shorter. So one bug I noticed is that after it unglow, it kind of remove all the original donut material. So let's after we press N, we want to set it back to our original material. So remember how we set the to emissive material here? We create dynamic material instance. Let me copy and paste these two. So after we press the N key, create these, create our original donuts material, which is just called donuts. And then we reverse from the end, so that it doesn't look ugly after it stops glowing. Press N and glow. Press N and unglow, but it changed all of a sudden to its original states. Like here, it's like there's no gradually fading the lights. So that's because when you press N, it immediately switch to the material, and it's kind of, and then it skipped the timeline because it's already become our original material. So I guess the a quick and dirty way to solve this is, remember our timeline is 5 seconds, is that we can actually add a 5-second delay. There's a notable delay before we set the material. Add a delay between pressing the N key and create the new material. We set the duration to like 5 seconds. So when you press N, we wait for 5 seconds. We wait for 5 seconds to change it to our original material. Let's see if that works. Hope that makes sense because it's a bit confusing right now. Press N key. Still okay. I guess the delay. Take a look at my reference. Okay, when you release. Okay, I get it. Sometimes I forgot how I did it. So the way to do this is when you press the, you activate the timeline. So you start reversing from the end. And when you release the, you have a delay and you set it back to the original material. Let's see. Press N. Start glowing. Press N. The light will gradually turns down and becomes the original donuts. Any question? Yeah. Sorry. Like this part? Okay. So what we just did is we can make it glow, and we want to remove that glowing property by pressing a different key. And then by pressing a N key, we not only make it unglow, we also change it back to the original donut material. That's what we do for this part. Yeah. Does it work? That's so That's our material parts. And next we're gonna talk about the camera, like how to switch between different camera, how to make our camera rotate. Um, and yeah. So, so go back to our level. Um, let's click this plus sign, and then we go to cinematic, and we select Cine Camera Actor. That will give us a camera in our level. Because what we have what we have for now is when we start to play, we kind of in this free view that we can basically go anywhere. So what we want to do is we set a camera so we can look from the camera what the camera is looking at. Let's drag the camera. And we can, this is what the camera is currently looking at, is black because it's off. So let's play this on camera here. We can click this pin here to dock this view viewport. So no matter how we move, we can always see what the camera is looking. Sorry. Here you may notice the donut, it's a little blurry. That's because in our camera setting, our current aperture is set to 2.8. It's like a real camera. If you set the aperture to really big, you can see things that closer to you very clearly, but you can the things that's further away from you gonna be very blurry. So we can maybe adjust that value to 16. Now the donuts look a bit clear right now. That's because we increase our aperture. We can also change the this is like the aspect ratio for our camera by clicking this drop down menu. For example, 35 millimeter looks like this, but I think I prefer the 16:9 digital film. Yeah, it's just the aspect ratio you can change it here. And you can also change it to different lens, like 50 millimeter, 30 millimeter. For now, we just got to universal spec. So it's just some basic setting for the camera. So when we start play, we're still in this free moving view. So how do we set the camera to be the things we look at when we click the play? That we need to go to click here, open the drop down menu here, and open our level blueprint. What we did before for this BP cube is that we are only working in this actor blueprint. Actor blueprint is just all the function that's specifically designed for a single actor like this donuts. It won't influence anything else. But for our level blueprint, whatever we write here can influence everything in this level, and we can reference anything that exists in this level. So here I want to set our view as a view of this camera. So I want to click this camera first, and oh, you may need to adjust the camera to somewhere. Did you move the camera? Let me take a look. Oh, that's Um, so when we go to our level blueprints, first we highlight the camera in our level. When we go to the level blueprints, we can right click, create a reference. And so at the event begin play, I want to do something called set view target. No, actually I have to get the player controller first. Because we are controlling what the player is looking at. Get player controller and then set view target with blend. So let's remove this event tick for now, and then I connect it here. So what I did here is I set a view target for our player to a new view target, which is our camera that we just created. Let's drag and drop to connect our camera to the new view target and compile and save and play. So now we are set in this camera view. We are no longer freely moving in the space. So let's make a different camera to see to look at how to change the view from one camera to another. There's a different way to add a camera in our space. Let's unpin this camera for now. That's as you move to where you want your camera to be. Like I want my camera to be right here, looking down at my donuts and my cylinder here. You click this 3 line at the bottom, at the top left corner. And here in the drop down menu, you go down and you can see create camera here. and you will create a city camera actor right here where you're looking at. So you can just create, you don't have to create the camera first and move it to a desired place to look at your stuff. You can just create a camera at the place that you are looking at with this method. So now I have a second camera. It's called City Camera Actor 1 that has this view. Now if I go back to our level blueprint, right click and reference to this new camera, and I copy and paste these two nodes. So connecting this to the new target. So here, what I want to do is when I press a key, I set our view to the second camera. Since it's the second camera, we can have, why don't we have the two keys? So search for two on our keyboard. So when we press that key, we will change our view to the second camera. Let's hit play. We press 2, it changes view to a different camera. How do you change your view back to the first camera? It's very easy. You just search for, let's use 1. You can also drag those nodes to our first camera. So at the beginning of our play, you will see the view of our first camera. And if you go to the second camera and you press 1, you can still go back to the view of that first camera. So that's 1, that's 2, go back to 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. You can switch camera angle. Any question? The camera, did you click it in the level? You select the camera, like highlight in the level, and then you go to your level blueprint. Sorry, it's level blueprint. And you right click, and it will be here. Did you write all of this in your level blueprint? It's different from the cube blueprint that we just wrote. So the way to open level blueprint is click here and then open level blueprint. And then you wrote everything here in the level blueprint because we are controlling camera in our level. Good. Okay, so now let's try to make our camera move. Yeah. Did you create it? Like, you mean in the blueprint? You couldn't find it. You have to highlight it in your level first. You just click it. You go to your level blueprint. You right click, and you can create a reference to it. Did it show? Okay. Um, something else I want to say is that you can change this blend time. Blend time is just if you set it to any value that's not zero, for example, 5, set it 5 here. You'll see what I mean. You see the camera, it's moving toward that target before you even start. It's like a transition between different camera. If I click 2, my camera will fly to the position of the second camera in 5 seconds. That's 1. And that's 2. Yeah, that's just what blend time does. If you prefer this way, you can set the blend time, but for now, I just gonna set it to 0 to just switching camera back and forth. You got everything for the camera. Okay. Don't worry. We can just yeah, let's go animate the camera for now. Anything about animation, you have to use something called you click this this movie sign here. You have to use a sequencer. Let's add a level sequencer here. And it will tell you to save it. Let's just save it in the content folder. I don't think we need a prefix for it. Let's just say camera track sequencer. So now I have a camera track sequencer in our outliner here. So, and also something like an editing software has opened at the bottom, and that's our workspace for our sequencer. So what we want to do is here, click the add track, actor to sequencer, and then choose the thing you want to animate. For example, now I want to animate my camera actor 0. Let's just click it. Now the camera has been added to my sequencer. Here, let's delete the camera cuts for now. We don't need a camera cuts. We just need to animate the transform. We just need to animate the location rotation of our camera, which is just included in the transform parameter. So it's similar to a timeline or any editing software. At time 0, you want your camera to be at one place, and in a different time, like maybe 5 seconds in the future, you want your camera to be a different place. But now let's make the timeline longer. Let's make it 1,000, so we have more time to work on. And you have to drag this red line to all the way to somewhere near the end. This area that's in the shadow, it's the area that you cannot edit, so you have to drag. And here, you see 600, 750. These are all in frames. So an easy way to understand it is click here, 30 frames per second, and show time as seconds. So now I'm seeing seconds. It's for me, it's just easier to understand. At 0 second, I want to do something. At 5 seconds, I want to do another thing. So at 0 second, my camera is here. So I want to click this. This very small round sign here at the transform. I click this. So I set the first frame, my first position of the camera when the time is 0. And if I move this line to 5 seconds, And here in the viewport, now I'm looking at where the camera is looking at. I can move this camera by pressing WASD and E or Q to go up and down. I want to go here. Let's go here. And then we press the transform again to have our second set of our transform. So we go from here to here. Any question? No? Okay. An easier way to do this without go to a different time, press the new key, another time press new key. An easier way to do this is press this to create a key automatically when your camera position change. To what? Oh, this movie sign here, you click it and add level sequence, and you just save it to a place and whatever, name it, whatever you want to name. So here and add, for example, let's change it to 10 second. At 10 second, I want my camera to be moving my camera to here. And I release, once I release the key, I'll release my mouse. It will just automatically create two keyframe for me because I have moved my camera. I don't have to click this add new key again. But sometimes you have to be very careful using these auto key functions because sometimes you move the camera accidentally and you create some new key into your sequencer and mess the whole thing up. So be really careful when you're using this. It is easier though. At 15 seconds, I want to move my camera to this. Okay. So let's take a look at everything. The camera is moving, and here at the 20th second, I can move my camera back to roughly the start of the place. Actually, to move it back to exactly the same place as where we started, you can highlight everything, all of these three nodes at the start, delete this, and just drag the time to the end and copy and paste these at the end. So it will start, it will end up at a place that you start with your camera. But we will run into a problem that is doing some weird rotation here. That's because yes, you can see the yaw value here. It's increasing, and suddenly start decreasing to 0. I guess we have to change it to 360 rather than 0. Yeah, it makes more sense because it's increasing and always starting from here start decreasing. So we have to change it to 360 to make it stop rotating the other way. Does it make sense? So now we have complete the loop. So let's click our sequencer. When we click our sequencer, we need to select autoplay. Otherwise, this animation won't start to play when we hit the play button. And here the loop, we want it to loop indefinitely, so it can the camera will move all the time rather than stops all of a sudden. So let's take a look. Okay, so now when we hit play, our camera is rotating around this donuts. Yeah, it's going. You can also always add more frame in between or change the speed of the whole animation. Let's see why it stops. Oops. Look at how I just added frame because I had enabled this auto keyframe. So let's disable it now so I don't mess up the animation I already have. So I think we should be moving that. Let's start. Oh, that's because I have the whole timeline set to like 30 seconds. So we have to drag these red line to where we end our like our nodes. So now let's play it again. Let's see if it loops after you finish the first one. Yeah, it finished the first round. Yeah, and it will start the second round immediately after it finish. So we'll keep going through the circle. Yeah. Huh? This one? Oh, this is just because I'm pressing the play view, so it's just playing back everything here. Yeah, I'm in the play view right now, so it doesn't matter where I put this at. Yeah. Is that what you asking? Okay. So now let's see. So during when it's moving, I can switch the camera, and if I switch it back, uh, it will just keep moving, and I'm just seeing. Yeah, the camera just keep moving and just changing it to a new angle or something. Okay. That's actually the one way you can move your camera. The other way you can make it rotate something. It's add a camera track. Let's jump out of this camera view for now. The way to do this is click this triangle here, stop piloting an actor. And now you go back to your level. If you want to jump into your camera view again, you can just click this little camera sign next to your camera actor in the sequencer. Click it, you go into a camera view, unclick it, you go out. And let's actually add a third camera here. Oh, how about here? The other side of the side. I want to create a camera rail that make my camera go from here to closer to my donut. So remember how we create a camera. Create a camera here. That's our third camera. And if we go to our level blueprints, we have to reference it. Copy and paste like what we did before. Make it our new target. And then what about when we press 3 key, we change to the third camera. That work. Press that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Okay. Right now, let's add a camera rail. A camera rail is let's close this sequence. A camera rail, you also need to you click the add button with the cube here, and here in the cinematic, you can add a camera rig rail here. It's just like in a movie set, they use this camera rail to make a camera move in one direction or another. In Unreal, it's the same. It's like it's kind of like the real world making and it also looks like the camera rail in the real world. Let's rotate it. The important thing is you have this camera rail in your outliner. You want to dock your camera the third camera under this camera rail, so they're attached to each other. Now let's adjust the position of your camera to the top of this camera rail starting points. So now they're attached to one place. Let's make this wheel longer by dragging this dots. Oops. Let's make it this to the right a little bit. Yeah. So inside the camera rail, when you click in the camera rail, here there's the most important thing is this current position on rail. You can from the zero, it's just zero, and if you drag it to one, it will your camera will just go from zero to the starting point to the end point. So the rail, we can also make it like a curve. It's not always a straight line. So the way to do this is click the dots at the end and hold your Alt. If it's a Mac, I think it's Command or Control on Mac, but it's Alt on my PC. Click it and drag it. It's like duplicating another dots into a camera rail, and you can change the position of it. Now you can make it more like a train track or something. Let me duplicate another one. Click here. Third one over here. You can also change the curveness of this rail by clicking the points, and you can see there's a line with 2 points in each end. You can adjust these points to make it the curve like larger or smaller. Let's make it smoother like this. You can also adjust here, but I think now it looks pretty good. It's like a question mark for so also we can make this a loop. So if you animated your camera go from start to end, the way of making a loop is click find this rail spline component under your camera rail. You highlight it, you click it, and here under the spline section, you have this closed loop you can check. So now they have an extra line here that make your camera go back to the beginning. So let's go to our camera rail and see it again. So you drag from 0 to 1, it's just go from start to the end and back to the start. But you may notice that the camera is looking at the same position all the time. It's always looking forward. But what we want to do is we want to make the camera to look at our donuts, because that's the subjects. That's the main subject. So there's a setting that we can do in our camera. You click the camera and you go to here in the current camera setting, the first one, look at tracking setting. You expand it and you check enable look at tracking, and you can select a subject and actor that tracks. So your camera will be always looking at that actor no matter where you move your camera. So you can click this eyedropper tool and you pick the actor you want the camera to always look at, which is the donut. You click it, and now the actor to track, it's become your blueprint cube, which is our donuts. Now if I animate it again, you will see from the viewport that your camera is rotating while moving and always looking at that donut. So that's what we want. And with that finished, now we also need to create a new sequencer to animate this. We need to animate this current position on rail from 0 to 1 from from one time to another time. So let's create a new sequencer, just like what we did before. Click this movie icon, add level sequencer. Let's name this camera rail this time. So with this new sequencer, an easier way to add the current position of rail value to the sequencer is trying to find the rail. Where's that current position of rail? Okay, I think I clicked the wrong thing. Okay, click the rail, and here current position on rail. You can see on the right, there's an add a keyframe for this property. You just click that, and you will be just added to the sequencer that we have open here. So at time 0, click it, add a keyframe. It's 0. Maybe at time, let's expand the timeline to 15 seconds. Yeah, 15 seconds. Drag this to here, and maybe at this time, we change the value to 1, and now we have this animated sequence. Now let's click play. It doesn't move because I forgot to do one thing. That is to in our new sequencer camera rail, I forgot to click the auto play here. If I don't click it, it won't play automatically. And I also wanted to do indefinitely. Let's go back to that's our camera 1, camera 2, not moving at all. 3, which is the one we just created. Yeah, and it's looping. Yeah, it's looping. So, any question? I know it's kind of lots of stuff to cover. But yeah. But you want to see the rig, the track, like when we play, you want to see the track. Oh. Yeah, what's the problem? Oh, like this rail? Oh, what I did is I click the endpoint, I just click Alt and I drag it to create a new point. Does it make sense? Oh, oh, okay. Right. But so that's part. Yeah, that would be an option. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, right after that. I guess. Well, I guess there are, but like. So. Um, wait, where we are right now? Um, guess that's camera one, camera two, camera three. Um, so yeah, I guess that's actually it's about time because I don't think I had enough time to do audio capture. So why don't I just show you what I did when I'm preparing for this class? Here, audio capture is just something. It's just making Unreal listen to like whatever sounds that's coming from my laptop or my microphone, and I map that intensity to something in the level. Like in this case, it is there's a there's a giant sphere that's shining. See over there? Hello, hello. Yeah, like it's moving according to the volume of my mic. So I guess uh we can do that now, if you guys want to stay here, or we can do that in the next session, next week. Let's do that, maybe the next session, okay. When is the next session? Next Tuesday, yeah. So, and then we can do some, because it's about time. Next session, we'll just finish these. These are really cool stuff, like Niagara. It's just particle system. That looks very cool because it is just lots of like cluster of particle that move. Hopefully, we can get it move according to the audio that we play, and also this physical control. It's just manipulating with the physics of the object in a space, like make it have more realistic movements. And we can also talk about having a character animation, like importing a character into our level, finding animation on maximal. Let me show you what maximal is. Maximal. And we can have all of these characters free for download. Yeah, the motion capture class use that, but these are just the motion that's already on the web that we can download and use, and all these characters we can download. Maybe next time we can do put character into level and like switching the animation of the character by pressing certain key, and yeah. So that's about it for this session. And now I can help you guys for all different kinds of questions. Yeah. Let me stop here. Stop recording.